we'll wait for the tech to show the slides. Thanks for the intro. Yeah, this is Daniel Fitzpatrick from Frank Reply. I'm Garrett Siebeck, BMW. And today we're talking about shifting gears. And we're in it for more than a year now, trying to reinventing how people are choosing cars. Does it work? Oh, I can do it that way. And sticking to the metaphor of gear shifting, we brought 4 gear changes with us today, 4 upshifts. The first one is called the new retail. The second one, engage early, think outside the chat box. All those gear shifts, they build up on each other. So you need to listen closely, carefully. And last but not least, hitting overdrive, the perfect state where an engine runs smoothly, perfect performance and efficiency. And, well, the new retail, the first upshift, that is what you need to know how we got there, how it all started. And I don't know if you know, I certainly did not before I joined BMW. A traditional automotive company like BMW has no direct relation with its end customers. It's wholesale. We sell the car to a dealer, and the dealer sells it to you. We only do marketing and not IT, so far. But actually, and it's been done there for more than 100 years, but BMW now is changing its sales model from wholesale to retail. We will go indirect and customer relations. We started that with Mini early January this year, and BMW followed 26. And basically, that will allow us to sell or allow customers to buy or release a car directly online. And that is good, and we assume that 25% of our customers will do so, but it has implications on the way we design our products and in the way how vehicle selection is and needs to change. Oh.
Why do we do that? Well, because the dealership brings a certain amount of magic into the transaction. And in order to avoid disappointment, we need to keep that magic online. I recently had the privilege of configuring my first company car, and as you can see, that's what I was looking for. I wanted to get a TIE fighter, those powerful twin ion engines and laser beams that I can use to vaporize other motorists who get in my way. That might say a lot about whether I am fit to drive a car at all, but it doesn't say a lot about how well I can configure a car. What I really wanted in my car, because I'm a geek and I like Star Wars, is a heads-up display. So I can target other motorists with all the great displays on the dashboard. I can see what the distance and the range is before I hit that fire the laser button to make the cool noises before the police stop me. So I wanted a car with a heads-up display. And I did. I ordered a Mini online. But we have a wonderful German word which we call Bebaubarkeitskonflikt, a buildability conflict within the vehicle to get the right options without excluding other options. So I did, and that's my baby. It is a wonderful Mini, and thankfully the dealer made a small mistake. Well, the motor pool made a small mistake, and I got an even bigger engine, much to the happiness of the German police department. But it didn't have a heads-up display, because I had in the configuration a buildability conflict, and I did not get my ideal vehicle. It's a perfect car, and I love it, but I really wanted that heads-up display. So that's why we need an intelligent, engaging, smart automotive configuration experience. And in order to do that, we are going to engage the customer early and do so proactively and in a nice, empathetic, charismatic manner. Let's talk about that and why. I am usually, instead of when I'm speaking to a large amount of people, I'm an introverted person. I don't like human-to-human interactions all that much. And when I'm choosing a restaurant, it's a difficult process for me. Hands up, who here has teenage drivers at home? Don't you love when you get to call your insurance company and say, I have teenage drivers at home, because The insurance companies love it. I hate it. I hate calling people. I hate talking to them. But why do I do it? Because I have to. I am a client already. I'm not looking for an insurance company. I have to do something terrible because my insurance rates are going up. So why do I do it? Because I have to. I'm captive and I'm in there. Same thing with a restaurant. If I found a restaurant, I go in there, I'm happy to be at my table. Nothing is going to get me to leave. Even if service is terrible, it's going to take forever because I'm afraid of choosing a new restaurant. So this is why pre-sales is more important than post-sales, in one word. And that's why we need to make an engaging experience for the BMW car configurator.
And that is basically what the dealer has done for you so far. He is helping you figuring out the right car. The ones you've configured online is not the car you are actually buying as of today. But if we want you to allow the car, buy it online as you configured it, we need to make sure that it is the perfect car, your dream car. And we have a difficult, highly complex product. 15 million combinations possible per car. And it's probably the second most expensive spend you make except of buying property. So it's a difficult decision to make. And that's why it is important to think about the difference of customer consultation, pre-sales, and customer care, post-sales. And so far, most chatbots, assistants focused on customer care. It makes sense, there is a business case. But actually, customer care is fairly easy. You have a greeting, you have an authentication, an intent identification, issue handling. Straightforward. Pre-sales is not straightforward. You have a greeting, you might have an authentication, maybe you have never met that person before. You have an intent, but you need to identify what you want, present the product, convince for the product, and do it charming because you don't want to be a sleazy salesman. You want to have the feeling that you choose the car, the illusion of control, because if I force something on you, you will go, you will leave us, and we need to convert you to checkout. So it is fairly complex. It's not easy. It's longer. It's more complex. It involves more emotional intelligence, and the wait time tolerance is less. If you booked a flight and you need to change your seat or cancel whatever, you will hold for 20 minutes because you need to get that changed. If we would require 20 minutes of your time just to get in contact to convince what you need, you will be gone to the competition. So, consultation pre-sales is difficult, but it's worth it. Just a small prediction from BCG, I'll spare you the details, but basically they have calculated the market opportunity for automation, and half of it is customer care, and half of it is customer consultation. So the half of the market is before the sale, and it's an untapped potential. No one really has done that before. So there's a lot to gain. But in order to gain it, you need to think outside the chat box. Because chat is not proactive. But you need to be proactive to consult. Think about that. Wireframe of a product page, product overview page, you look at a car. There's a chat box, and you can engage with it, of course, and it makes sense. And we can inform the AI assistant about us. How can I help you? I'd like to buy a car. Anything particular? Well, I have no clue. I want to go fast and tow a trailer. That's all we got. And it's something useful, but now we let the customer configure its car again, because he or she wants to have the illusion of control that they built their own dream car. And they get to the checkout page. So chat is great, but it can be a hurdle. And they get to the checkout page, and instead of having a static page as we used to, and you know that, and relying on the chat bubble which will pop up, we'll actually have a dynamic checkout page rendering live parts of the conversation you had before into the page starting with fantastic choice, confirming that it is the ideal car, but making reference to pace and practicality. So taking into consideration what the user has told us, what he or she wants. Giving reason why to love this car, again, taking special pieces of the entire configuration, fitting it to the things he or she mentioned. And last but not least, and this is the most important thing, the proactive part. One last detail, looks like the trailer hitch isn't in your configuration. Trailer hitch is a special equipment in BMW. He told us he wants to tow a trailer, but he doesn't have that in the configuration. But you want to have it. A dealer will tell you, oh, you forgot this, you forgot that. And we need to do that as well. But it will not work if it is hidden in a chat message. It needs to be very prominent, but still subtle, still assisting, not forcing you into it. Another example, which I like to give in that regard, is tainted windows. Almost every single BMW car which is sold has tainted windows in the back. In the configurator, about 10%, because you expect it to be in the car already. But you will be disappointed if no one is telling you that you don't have tainted windows or the trailer hitch. So, an assistant needs to be proactive. You need to think outside the checkbox. That is the third upshift. And now, coming to the last but not least, overdrive.
Thank you. People have personalities, and personalities have what we call stable properties, things about me which are true, which probably always will be true. Like I said, I'm a geek, I like lasers, Star Wars, that's probably always going to be true. So when I come in, I can exhibit my stable properties in the chat. So I want an M35i xDrive. It's an indicative statement, but we can read between the lines with a really intelligent chat bot, find out a stable property about me. I know about cars. Otherwise, I would have just said, show me a Mini, I want a convertible or whatever. But now, this system just doesn't know what my intent is. It also knows, hey, this guy knows something about cars. Let's adapt the prompt to the system and give a better answer than would have otherwise been the case. So we don't talk about prompt engineering. We talk about prompt compiling and prompt ecosystems and prompt libraries to go one step further for the upshifting. And we give an appropriate response, which would have been different than the standard system response. We take it further than that by addressing what we call fluctuating properties. So Dan Fitzpatrick likes pizza, but what pizza does he want today? Show me the engine options already. It's a command, once again a statement, but reading between the lines, we can say, I'm hurried, I'm in a hurry, I'm irritated, find out how to better engage me. Prompt adaptation, maybe we'll give a shorter answer. Carry the conversation forward rather than ignoring this very, very important detail. If I'm in a restaurant looking at the menu, getting back to the earlier metaphor, saying all these options look so delicious, or all the options of the car are luxurious. Indicative statement, but what I'm really saying is, I can't decide. Give me a recommendation. And if the chatbot misses that cue, you have lost an upsell. This is where the magic happens. This is what I like to call the science of human conversation. And if you notice, the large language model, if you can find it in there somewhere, plays a surprisingly small role. We don't let it do a lot. It might make the chatbot a little bit stultifying, but there are simply too many risks involved in generative AI. We can allow it to make generative statements. I want a panoramic glass roof for my car. Wonderful. It lets in sunshine, gives you a feeling of freedom on the road. Perfect choice. Let the generative AI take care of that. I can do it better than I can. But if the person then says, well, what is that going to do with the headroom in the vehicle? The answer has to be, you have 23 millimeters less room every time, and that has to come from the product database. So, thank you very, very much. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, let me just add, this is a high-level architecture, and it is still not having everything in there, and we could spend an entire session just about it, just a few things. So, as Dan mentioned, if you have a large language model, a pre-trained model, it's great, but you need to build a system around it. So it is data management, knowledge retrieval, context management, content management, pre-processing, post-processing. And we also like to talk about objective and subjective correctness. As Dan stated, what's the perfect car? Well, this is subjective. And to be honest, there are dealers, maybe not BMWs, but there are dealers lying to you, but giving you a good feeling. But how many horsepower does that car have? It is objective correctness. There's just one answer, and large language models are not good with numbers, but it has to be correct. We can easily be sued for it if it's not correct. So that's why we have different approaches for it, rely heavily on internal systems, have API systems, and also add machines. Other front-end components talk to our chat or dialogue system and put it out there. So if you have a model comparison on the website, two models, instead of just having check marks or having them side by side on a table, it will now be that thing will have a conversation with you as well, mentioning why you choose A or B. And if we don't know anything about you, we will still put out benefits which could help you make the decision better. Because everything is a conversation. Regardless if you type it into a chat box or use an interface, a website, a front end, it is a conversation which will you have with someone or with yourself. And to find the right car, you will need a lot of assistance, but we are pretty confident that we will make that change happening and reinventing how people are choosing cars. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very insightful presentation. Any questions directly? Okay, yes. Hands going up, so
We have 3 minutes, wonderful.
maybe ladies first.
Thank you. You already mentioned an example where you think LLMs should not be used, which is like giving objective answers, objective correctness, and precise answers. Do you have other use cases where you believe LLMs should never be used in your case?
Good question, but actually, no, we use it. But we use it for the generation of the answer, not for its knowledge. And we need to, tightly put it in the place that it actually gives you the figures. But we can manage that well by feeding it in from our internal systems. If you would ask vanilla ChatGPT, how many horsepower does an M2 have, you will get an answer, but it's the wrong answer because it's the old M2. Because it doesn't know that there was a new one. We will feed in the number, and we will just let the large language model generate the answer so that it can have that recipient design answering in your level of expertise, taking into account the day and time. So you will be greeted on Valentine's Day with Happy Valentine's Day, just because the LLM is capable of doing so and not us putting it in there. But the figures are from our internal systems.
Thank you. Another question right here, front.
Thank you. Great presentation, very interesting. I was curious, you kind of on the last, architecture slide showed it as this is how it is, but I'm sure it was an iterative process, and if you might just expound a little bit on the journey and learnings and how you kind of deploy or beta test or how you go through the process.
Oh yeah. We were in the lucky position that the new retail doesn't come out of the blue. So we had that plan all along, and we knew we would need to implement assistance for the online configurator. And we had that plan before ChatGPT was released. So we started that project basically last year in January, and we said, we started working on it, and we said, just go all in on large language models and build it with its generative AI. But at that point, there was no function calling. existing. So we built something ourselves. There was no guardrailing frameworks at that time, so we had to come up with it ourselves. Every pothole we hit, I guess, and that's why we were planning on having it live earlier this year. Now we are at the finish line, so we'll be live in about a few couple of weeks. So yeah, we invented. I mean, the conversational designer as a profession changed dramatically. Everything changed in the last year, and there was nothing we could rely on, no blueprint at all. So it was the most interesting project I've ever worked on, but it was a wild ride.
Yes. We had one more question here from the back, right?
Yeah, thank you for your excellent presentation. My question was, how do you evaluate your LLMs and understand the correctness of your LLMs? And the second part of the question is, do you have a feedback loop for your chatbots or the dynamic chatbot that you piloted? And if yes, could you throw some insight on that, please? Thank you.
That's the toughest part, and that's actually also the reason why we're not live yet. Main thing we need to optimize is for reducing numbers of false positives. Better say nothing than giving a wrong answer, because we could get sued for that. Checking, matching numbers from the system and from the output, it's pretty straightforward. Matching, evaluating if that subjective correctness is something we want to be correct or not is difficult. And there are different opinions within the company. What is correct and how objective correctness, when do we achieve it? But I think we got a good approach, but that actually also involved a lot of manual qualifying, if that is what we want to have.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. I think really great presentation. In German, I'm from Munich myself. The slogan is always BMW Freude am Fahren, right? So I think you showed if it's a joy in driving. I think you're working towards joy in buying, right? Joy in choosing a car. And so thank you very much. Thanks for the insights, and
thanks for having us.
Enjoy the conversations later.